Yes, I did want to be a gangsta, okay? And that's why you clicked on this video. I'm going to tell you what led to me wanting to be a gangsta. And it all starts when I was very little, very young. And so I'm going to get right into it. Hey riders, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you why I wanted to be a gangster. Alright, so I'm going to start from the very beginning. Basically, we used to live in Santa Ana, Los Angeles, and something traumatic, drastic happened. So we moved to the Bay Area and we were forced to move into basically a Section 8 apartment complex. And my mom was on welfare. She had me and my brother, single mom. And so, yeah, here we are in the hood in South Hayward. And next thing you know, I'm going to the park, right? I vividly remember being taken to the park. It was like right across the street from where we lived. And I was playing in the playground on the play structure. And I just noticed a bunch of tagging, just a bunch of different names, like abbreviated. You know how they abbreviate the gang names? Well, they were, now I know that that's what it was. And then also just gangster people's names. So it would have like anything with Lil, right? So like Lil Evil, Lil John, Lil Durk. No, just kidding. I'm just like thinking about rapper names right now. But that's literally like what it was. It was just like Lil Shorty, and like bad girl and bad this. Like normally the girls had a bad in front of it. Or it was just like Shorty, and I'm just like, what is all this? I was like reading it. I was like 6, 7 years old and I was in awe. And then I was like on the cement, there was tagging everywhere. I mean, literally everywhere. And I was just like, what is this? I had never seen it before. Where I grew up, before that, there was no tagging in any of the park structures. And so I was just in awe. And then all of a sudden I went to the grass area. There's like this huge green grass area. I remember looking up and seeing this girl. She must have been like 11 or 12. And she just had like her hair was like just up in a ponytail, and it was like all the way like slick back. And she had like some hoop earrings and like your typical Cholilla, your gangster girl. She looked like a tomboy. She was very pretty, had like the tight shirt with the sweats or baggy pants. And I just thought, wow, I want to be like her. Like I had never seen it before. And she just looked hardcore. She looked at me with like this persona, she had this like energy about her. And I just thought, oh my gosh, like where am I? That's just like, I had never seen anything like it before. And then like she had other friends, right? So she was surrounded by other people and they all looked really cool. Her and one other girl must have been the only girls. It was mostly guys, but I don't know, there was something about it. So that was like my first introduction to what that meant, right? So I definitely had to do a lot with my environment, right? So you are a product of your environment. I was taken out of this place and I was put here. And then all of a sudden my whole world changed. Everything changed. That was elementary, right? And even in elementary, when I started going to school there, everyone was different. You just had to grow thick skin quick, or else you were gonna, you just weren't gonna make it. It's almost like you grow up a lot quicker. And then a lot of the kids, they're going through things at home. They're in a home where there's a broken marriage, or there's drug abuse, or alcoholism, or there's no money, or there's just so many different variables. But everyone has like a hard story, right? And I'm not talking about like a hard story that people usually go through. I mean like hard, they have it rough. It's a lot of like trauma. It's just a lot of things that these kids go through that they grow up just kind of enduring. And so they're put in this school and they're all like, either fighting each other or trying not to fight, and I'm not saying that everyone wanted to be a gangster, obviously not, and not everybody wanted to be a part of that life, but you did have a lot of like younger kids that had siblings or parents or grandparents that were gangsters, that were a part of that life. And so that's what they knew. they saw it at home, they heard their older brother talking about it, they emulated, you know, their brothers with the saggy jeans and like the white t-shirt, you know, the big white tees, and like just the culture of it, right? The cursing, just the slang, everything about it. And I think what attracted me was that there was a sense of community. There was a sense of community, and you had respect. And then especially as I got older, you know, middle school, high school, you were feared, you know, if you were in a gang or gang affiliated, or even had friends that were gangsters or hanging out with gangsters, you know, there was like this sort of respect, even though in hindsight now it's like, oh my gosh, no disrespect to my gangsters, but I have like a few other videos that I want to make, by the way, about this, because it goes deep. This is just like the surface of like my story of why I wanted to be a gangster, and like I didn't realize what that meant, and I'm gonna make another video on that, like what it means to be a gangster, because I feel like sometimes people really don't know. I don't know, maybe you do know, but it goes really deep. So I saw all of these things on the outside of community, respect, protection. It was like something thrilling. I know that sounds kind of bad and crazy, but it was the thrill, right? That it was dangerous. You were a part of all like the misfits, right? The outcasts. It was an interesting thing, you know, and now it's like, oh my gosh, you were like claiming a number or a color or a street or a block or a city. And like even now I'm like, oh, I grew up in South Hayward, you know, like that's, my mind goes to South Hayward, like where? South Hayward. Like it's just the way that you're programmed, right? So you're programmed a certain way, and I find it quite interesting now talking about it, now that I'm far removed from it. And it's really tough because it can be a light conversation, but it's really heavy. It's a serious topic, and I feel like sometimes people don't take it serious, and it just seems cool and just, I don't know, like, oh yeah, those people, you know, you're just looked down upon. But there's a reason why people are gang affiliated and end up in this life. And again, I want to make another video on why you shouldn't be a part of that. And if you're that OG, maybe you should, you know, consider giving advice to the younger generations not to be a part of those things, and why they shouldn't be a part of those things, you know? Sometimes we just don't know any better. And I know that there were older adults who had a play in this continuing, you know, and they just don't know any better. So anyway, there's a lot that goes into it. This is just the surface. I just kind of wanted to tell my story on how I was introduced to it, what it is that happened, and why it is that I wanted to be gang affiliated. Now, the question is, did I become a gangster? Was I a gangster? No, I must admit, I was not. I mean, I was like a wannabe gangster, maybe. I mean, if that's what you want to call it. I would throw up gang signs, the numbers, wear the color, this and that, but I never actually went through with either getting jumped into a gang or slept with all the guys to be in a gang or whatever it took to be like killed someone, like none of that stuff. Like I never went through with it. I just liked being a part of that community and hanging out with them, but I knew where that was gonna lead me. And I did have a baby at a very young age. I became pregnant at 14 and I had my baby at 15, and I honestly think that she was an angel from heaven, because that's when I realized that I should not be doing it, even though I was still in the hood. The high school that I went to, they had a daycare center there, and I was able to graduate on time and go to college and get my bachelor by the time I was 21, because I also had a daycare there at the university I went to. But I was still attracted to it, and I was still in it because of where I lived, even though I had a daughter. But I definitely didn't take it all the way because I had a daughter. So I feel like that's what really stopped me from like really going in and being a part of it. And even for women, it's not as common as it is for men, obviously. No, I was not a gangster, but yes, I did hang out with a lot of them and with different gangs, and my baby daddy was in a gang, and it was just a lot. But that's the story. Let me know, comment down below, why did you want to be a gangster if you ever did? Why are you one if you are one? And if you're not, and you're like, oh my gosh, why would anyone ever? What do you think now that you've heard my story? And it's just like a fraction of it, right? It's just like the surface. Now that you've heard that, what's your opinion on it? What do you think about it? I mean, We all know, you know, it's not good, you shouldn't do it. We all know that stuff, but sometimes you almost can't help it, right? So I'll leave you with those thoughts. Give me a thumbs up if you agree with me, and subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed already, and I will see you in my next video. Besitos.